Peace, y'all. This is Rhythm Phoenix, aka the Wise Dome of Light, aka Sean Sharon, and just coming at you with some more information, knowledge, and understanding, dealing with the wisdom of the soul, of the spirit, of life, of creation, of reality, of what they call corporal and incorporeal things. Been doing mass studies. I'm gonna try to come at y'all with what I've been studying and my research and my enlightenment, and just share with you the information as much as I can. Today, I wanted to speak real quick on the knowledge of celestial, the celestial realm, okay, and my experience and understanding and my spiritual journey with this. So, when I first came into learning about the Zodiac and astrology and everything like that, and as the years progressed, especially reading the Gerald Massey works, I come to realize that it was a very ancient science that was created, or we'll just say the knowledge came down into the human consciousness, arguably 75,000 plus years ago, and that's in reference to the book The Forgotten Civilization by Robert Schoch, or Schoch, you spell his last name Schoch, and he and I am referring to his scholarly work in explaining the Sphinx to be anywhere between I think 7,500 to 10,000 to 75,000 years old, arguing with people who claim it only to be 75,000 or 7,500 or younger than that, even 5,000 years old. So we're dealing with that, and we're dealing with how the astrological knowledge was brought into the tellings of mythology, and how mythology was embraced into explaining the ways of the soul, known as eschatology, and how when the soul departs from the physical body, which in the ancient mystery system was known as Egypt or Kemet, and Kemet was also known as the Black Land. So we're dealing with ancient black people of inner Africa, but we're also dealing with the mystery system as well. So these people created a whole system, and these mystery systems were actually schools and universities that you could go to and learn about all this stuff. We can only speculate how this was done, and the buildings and the universe, what they look like, and all this. We can only speculate, but I could only imagine that it was just probably amazing. But okay, so we're dealing with that, and then how the souls, when they left the body, they went to the ancestral realm. Okay, and this is before the consecration of the text and the hieroglyph, or the Metu Neter of the Book of the Dead, or Coming Forth by Day, was compiled into a book and everything like that. We're dealing with Egypt before it was the cumulative spot for knowledge around the world, or at least that area in the world. But more than likely, there were different areas in the world, like China, and the Indus Valley probably still had areas. You know what I mean? It goes on and on and on. But you don't get taught that in history class. So your soul travels, and you go with the ancestral realm as you live there in eternity, or you live doing what you love to do when you was on this earth, or in this reality. You see what I'm saying? Because what we're dealing with is, we're dealing with nature, and then we're dealing with the matrix. We're dealing with the illusion of reality, and then we're dealing with nature, which is divine. See what I'm saying? Everything is divine, but there's something going on with the illusion, you know what I mean, of this reality. So these places that the souls would go to would be in the heavens, all right? Certain sections of the heavens. Now, the ancient Egyptians created on their land what was called gnomes. and there has been evidence to say that there were at least more, probably more, but and this is a mystical thing, probably there were at least 22 gnomes, and each gnome, and this is the dealing with pre-dynastic Egypt. This is found in Gerald Massey's book, Ancient Egypt, The Beginnings. It's one of them books. Anyway, so these gnomes created totems, which were basically like the images of gods in the locality that represented the god of that tribe or that area of people. You know what I'm saying? And each gnome would represent an area, and this area was created to mirror an image in the sky, known as a constellation. All right. So it was Upper Egypt, Lower Egypt. So more than likely there were 12 upper, 12 lower. You know what I'm saying? But and there's a book called The Traveler's Guide to Ancient Egypt by John Anthony West that can help you understand. And then there's a book by John Anthony West called The Serpent and the Rainbow. He breaks down Upper and Lower Egypt. Upper Egypt was in the south, Lower Egypt was in the north. You see what I'm saying? So, excuse me. The gnomes were representatives of cities that were celestial counterparts of these celestial constellations above them. All right? And so, your ancestors, when they left their bodies, they left the physical realm and went to the spiritual realm, could be contacted by communicating, concentrating, meditating, talking to, praying to, giving invocations to the powers of these signs, because they related to the natural elements of the gnomes on the earth of the physical realm, of the descendants of the ancestors who went to the heavenly realm. This is, just try to stick with me here because this is very key, and I'm coming to you, without going to book to book to book. But the shit is everywhere. So, say we lived in a gnome in Egypt that was the persona that was built in the city was built in a fashion of the constellation of Aquarius, okay, which would not be the symbol of the waters, that's the symbol of that's the astrological sign of the constellation Aquarius. I'm talking about the actual star shape of the constellation Aquarius, whether it be, just a line or whatever. There will be pyramids, and see, the ancient Egyptians got this shit from their ancestors who were in their upper north, which was the Sudan and Nubia, okay, basically the motherland. So just the ancestors and everything, you went to heaven. All right. Each hour, okay, related to the zodiac signs, the 12, the 24, the double, right? Like I told you, they had 22 gnomes according to the scholarly work, but it is more than likely possible that they probably mirrored Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt, had 12 in the south, 12 in the north, which will give you 24. Or they had 22, and then one in the north and one in the south represented the crown or the kingdom or where the king or the pharaoh stayed. The pharaoh actually means the powerhouse. So it was actually where the king, the pharaoh was actually the actual place, which is known today as the pyramid, where the king and the queen resided, and that represented the powerhouse of the nation or of the land of Lower Egypt as well as the land of Upper Egypt. And there was a unification of Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt, and there was a kingdom for that as well. So at the end of the day, you might have had a trinity of a king of Upper and Lower Egypt, and then his representatives as king and queen, of the Upper Egypt section and the Lower Egypt section, all right, giving a total of 3 or a total of 6 male-female, okay? So therefore you have the trinity, all right? And then when you have the trinity, the 3 become 1, or the 6 become who are couples as 1, the 3 become 1, therefore you have the monad, mysticism, all right? So it goes on and on and on, right? and you'll hear me say it a lot. That's like one little saying. It goes on and on and on, and there's so much because I said it a lot because it's a lot. So the souls go to heaven. There are celebrations during the seasons, all reflecting spiritual things. Any holiday that the ancient Kemites or the ancient people of the world celebrated dealt with either the earth, i.e. nature, right? Isis, Aset, or the spirit world, right? Or the spiritual soul, the soul, Asar, all right? And the aspiration to get to home or the heavenly realm, or to get to know your Father, which is your higher self, which is your inner self, which is the Horus or the Heru or the Jesus Christ thing, the Christ energy, right? It is spiritual aspiration. That's what it is. It's birthed within you years after the I amness comes in. All right, the I am this and I am that. I have an arm, I have a leg, and I have a head, and I can move and stuff. And I am. What's my name? I'm Luke, and this and that. Okay, boom. I am. So your souls, your descendants, and all of them go to these heavens. Now, as time trickled down, these celestial and astrological, eschatological, mythological, philosophical mysteries were stolen, became misinterpreted, misunderstood, mistranslated, and then, but also truth would trickle down within this as well. Therefore, we have the information today. And so now we have the Zodiac, all right, of the age, okay, called an Aeon, all right. The Zodiac represents the celestial belt. The celestial belt is where you get when you come into this reality, when you are born, when you are birthed, all right. You are given a sign at the time you are born. Like for me, I was born at 8:55. I'm an Aries, all right. I was born in April. That makes me an Aries. I am of the tribe of the Israel tribe that is synonymous with the zodiac sign Aries. All right, of the loins of the Hebrew that is in line with the Aries constellation. Nothing was literal, nothing was historical. Though all of those Hebrews and all of those Israelites, Dan and Reuben and all of them, they never existed as real people. All right, they all represented aspects of the zodiac sign that trickled down into the stories of mythology that reflected the soul's journey in the astrological mystery system of reality. The soul was always on a boat or a bark in ancient Kemet, and it traversed the heavens after it had to do this sojourn on the earth, right? In the Greek mythologies, certain heroes like Hercules, after his death, or Charon or Charon after his death, right, were created and were meant to become immortal as constellations. So the Greeks had one person become a whole constellation. You see what I'm saying? But the ancient Kemites and ancient Africans, number one, every star was a soul. That's number one. All right. But every soul was its own world. And every world had its own occupants or inhabitants. Therefore, every soul that left this reality, wherever it wanted to go to, whatever its heaven was, the Aru, right? The Aru fields, the fields of peace, the fields of paradise by the ancient Kemites, that's where they wanted to be for eternity with their immortality. Whoever they wanted to be there, whatever they loved, whatever they liked, that was there, and that's what they did. That's what it was. That was heaven. All right? And it was up in the heavens. It was your Sa body, all right? The Sahu, right, went to the heavens with the Ahu, who helped them get there. Today, these are the angels. Back then, they were symbolized in the hieroglyphics or the Metu as the birds or as bird-headed deities. right? Known as the Ach or Ahu, right? And then you got the word Ankh, which you have the N sound in there. You have the word Ankh, which meant life, right? So these bird deities led you to eternal life, excuse me, in the heavens. But it wasn't, see, and so this is the key. The earth is in the heavens, right? The heavens is where the celestial belt is and the stars and stuff, the universe, right? That's the earth's physical reality heavens. Well, that is an illusion. Even to the point to where we know that man has created the images of the constellations to represent symbols, right? It's not that Hercules is actually Hercules as that constellation. This is all symbology in the mythology, in the mythos. All right, and represents spiritual mysteries, represents spiritual mysteries and spiritual symbols. Okay, so when the new world came to be, all right, and we can go into who runs the new world and all that shit, right? Which I'm gonna tell you like this, now, you know, this is deep, but I'm gonna tell you like this: Yahweh is the one who runs the new world under many facets. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's the elite, the Illuminati, the Vatican, the Pope, whoever, Federal Reserve, whoever. It's ran by Yahweh. You know, it's ran by this Yahweh thing, but it's the Yahweh thing. It has nothing to do with a Hebrew God that the Hebrews worship, that if you don't worship the Hebrew God, then you go to hell and all this type of stuff. That's just what they believe in. The Yahweh thing is it's almost like a magical tone in dealing with your reality that you live in, right? Which some will call the cube of space. So, and in each corner of the cube, there's a Yod Hai Vod Hai. You see what I'm saying? And then it interchanges. Yod Hai Vod Hai, Vod Hai, Yod, and it goes on and on until it goes back into Yod Hai Vod Hai. You see what I'm saying? They change shape like when you play volleyball and you have to rotate. You see what I'm saying? That's what it does. And that's so when you watch the movie Hellraiser, the cube, that's the cube, right? Well, the cube is where the celestial, well, the one to be celestial, because the celestial represents the eternal. The zodiac is in the celestial, which is of the eternal. So the zodiac is like this this huge ass ego energy, right? That everyone is born into this reality. Instead of being born into the awareness of their soul, you see, which is like being born into a soul world. See, you're born into a soul world known as the sun. It's the sun world. But when you leave this world, you go back into your soul world, which is your inner world, your soul world, which is the star world. All right? Nothing to do with physical reality, this universe, all right? It has to do with the spiritual things, all right, that envelop the physical reality, that envelop matter, okay? So, the zodiac belt was created for the new world as a border, a gate. A border that covers a gateway that leads you out of this shit. Think of the thing going on today with the flat Earth thing. Everybody talking about the flat Earth thing. All right, you have the flat Earth, and then you have the surrounding wall, right? Known in the flat Earth theory as the Antarctic wall, and after that you can't pass it. You see what I'm saying? And so that's what it is, right? Now, the Yahweh that controls the world, all right, is the energy that is your energy, okay? It's your energy, okay? It is your glory, all right? Think of yourself as an obelisk. See this right here behind me? This is an obelisk. This is Osiris. This is the soul in the obelisk, which is known as the jet pillar of ancient Kemet. And this is your spinal column. On your spinal column resides all these energies that go all the ways, you know what I'm saying? Your limbs represent it, your brain represents it, all right? The communication of the heart and the brain and the lower brains down, you know what I mean? Just everything is dealing with this middle section here of your body known as the spinal column, the middle pillar in the mysticism, in the Kabbalah mysticism, okay? The central path, all right, in Taoism, in Sufism, all right? This is the Yahweh. Why? Because this is you with your five senses, right? And then you as the spirit soul, you have a body known as a subtle body, all right? And this subtle body carries massive amounts of energies and channels. 7 primary channels called the chakras. The chakras align with the ganglia that, you know, that's in the back and in the front of your body and outside. These are like vortexes known as wheels in the Hindu. That's where you get the word chakra from, okay? The chakras aligned with, especially when you don't know, because the Kundalini energy rises and, you know, ascends and descends on this channel. It's called Shushumna, all right? And when you are not aware of it, your 5 senses align with this, all right? And the 7 chakras, which represents the rainbow deity, the serpent in the rainbow. That's what that is. It's a movie called The Serpent in the Rainbow, all right? Was made in Haiti and dealt with voodoo and stuff. Watch it. Okay? This is the Kundalini. The Kundalini and her children or her sons, right? Which are the many wills, the chakras, which resonates with the higher will, all right? Which is the Father in heaven, all right? The exoteric religious people will tell you it's some God in heaven, up here somewhere that's far away from you, right? And this would represent Yahweh on the throne or something, okay? But what it is that it's like you are the wand, the magical wand of a God who wants to continuously rule the world. There's a song by Duran Duran called "Everybody Wants to Rule the World." Well, think about just a handful of 5 people that worship one person that wants to rule the world, and they do whatever it takes to get all the energy they need to get to that one person to rule the world. And he holds the scepter in his hand that controls the whole world, okay? Everyone on the planet that's a human being, and we have mammals as well, right? We're just talking about us, man, woman, child, has spinal columns. And and that's what we're talking about the human, because the human is the one that's born with the higher reasoning or the higher will. You know right from wrong in things. You're not an animal. And this spinal column energy is a wand that is utilized in the hand, right, of the God, right? And it's going to be the God of your head, like Godhead, right? Because any religion that you believe in, you're going to do that God's will, thy Father's will. Thy will be done, right? And so you do thy Father's will, thy Father's bidding and stuff with your body, with your whole person. You can't do nothing without your spinal column, without your brain, your neurons, your nerve tissues, and all that. That's where it comes in. You see what I'm saying? So you are the serpent in the rainbow. The spinal column even looks like a serpent. All right? You are the serpent in the rainbow. The serpent in the rainbow has a seed within it known as the soul that once it wakes it up, it says, okay, this ain't my reality. Why am I working continuously to build this world up? For who? I need to go back home and to transmutate this reality that I adore, that I have love for. You know what I mean? Like that who wants to die feeling, you know what I mean? Don't nobody want to die and things like that, right? So that's that love for this reality. So for some people it's just the love for self, because some people will kill another person to keep themselves alive. So And those are the ones who continuously get recycled into this wheel, known as the celestial belt, the zodiac belt, the zoomorphic belt. It is the gate, it is the wall that controls the zoo, the zodiac. Each person that's born into this world is born into the zodiac. All right? There's a zodiac sign known as Ophiuchus, right? It's the shape of a serpent. The serpent, like the dummies do, I don't want to call them, I'm sorry. These religious people do, they grab the serpent, they're serpent holders, and they do the serpent, and they yell Jesus and all this type of stuff. That's all meant to be metaphysical, metaphorical, allegorical, and symbolical, dealing with the spirit. You see what I mean? It's the Moses serpent as well. Because Moses utilized that rod, that staff, to set his people free out of to the whole thing about Exodus was let my people go out of Egypt. All right, Egypt was the body. Okay, so when Moses was saving his brethren from the Egyptians, right, it had nothing to do with the physical place known as Egypt on the planet. It was it's a metaphysical, mystical symbol for the human body and the intelligences within the human body which construct the soul, which is you, and the spirit, right? As well as the spiritual entities that reside with you as your neighbors are these Israelites and these Hebrews and all these entities and things like that. In the real world, they represent people like your friends, close relatives, and even strangers who help you. You know what I mean? That's what they call angels on every corner and things like that. These are your compadres who have lived with you in other lifetimes, okay? Trying to help you in the battle of getting out of the wheel of samsara, which is known as the zodiac wheel. The wheel of samsara is the wheel of the zodiac, okay? The wheel of dharma is the will of the zodiac, but it is the will of dharma, which is the will of the law, which represents the will of truth. And this is the will that helps you get up out of the zodiacal world of physical incarnation and into your resurrection into your spiritual self. Getting rid of the suffering after many lifetimes, living over and over and over again, trying to figure it out. You know what I mean? To get your soul to evolve to the next level, right? This is the Truman Show. This is the Truman Show. That's why when it's a part of the Truman Show, Jim Carrey looks up in the sky. No, as actually what happened he's walking out in the street and a light just falls out the sky, right? Because it represents the studio, right? Which is the world of the Truman Show. And on the light, it has Sirius, Canis Major. You know what I mean? It has a Sirius star, the brightest star in the sky. And it fell. That was the first, one of the first wake-up calls for Truman in the movie, Jim Carrey. And after that, he started waking up. So it is Isis, right, who is none other than Sophia in the Princess Sophia, who comes to the soul to wakes it up and say, hey, your true abode is in the higher heavenly spheres, these celestial spheres, right? Comes to get you, like Ra on his boat. So, the zodiac belt is the trap. All right? In the tarot deck, the first tarot card is the 0, and it's called the Fool. The Fool has a sack and a stick, and he's carrying his stick, and he's traversing a realm about to fall off a cliff. He don't know where he's going. He's falling into the depths of this reality. Because what's going to happen is he's going to fall asleep and forget that he's actually even journeying or even traveling. That this is only a momentary thing. Right? So, the tarot is the law that it shows you things. It shows you how to get out. It's the tarot, it's the Torah, it's the terror, it's the terror, you know what I mean? It's the law, you see what I mean? And the law is terrifying because it deals with destiny and fate, right? The planets pulling and pushing your emotions and things like that, right? So the astrological system that was brought down to us by the ancients a long time ago, right? which the New Age people are just regurgitating and just creating their own new shit out of it, was the keys on getting us out of it. You know, some people say that the ancient Kemites and the ancient Maya, there was a group of a certain era in their civilization where the group of people that resided in these places just disappeared. They don't even know what happened to them. Like the people of Machu Picchu. You know what I mean? It's I think it's the people of Machu Picchu. It's one of them, the Inca or one of them. But anyway, we're dealing with transitioning realms, right? So the power that this whole thing dealing with God or Yahweh, and you obeying all this, is dealing with you being a puppet for the puppet master. You see, little finger stuck up your ass, pulling you this way and that way and that way and that way. Oh, you don't believe? Oh, you don't believe? You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to church. I'm going. You better go to church. And he this and the Bible says this and all this, and you see what I'm saying? You're stuck. You're still stuck in something that you believe is the higher will of the Father. The higher will of the Father is within you from the get-go. And it is to get you out of the zodiacal control. The zodiacal control, right? The pulling and pressing of the planets, Jupiter and Mars and Saturn and Venus, love and desire and war and action during the wrong times and hate and all these things, right? And to utilize them for good and to transition, right? But when you don't utilize the powers for the New World Order, then you become shunned, you become attacked, and all these things by individuals. It don't have to be by a secret society. You don't have to be targeted by the FBI, people following you around and shit. No, people are mind controlled. Your own cousin is controlled mentally and brainwashed, and he'll do whatever it takes to spread the word that you a nut, that you a kook, that you crazy, that you ain't a follower of you're not a Christian or Hebrew or Israelite, that you call yourself sovereign and all this, and you become shunned. You become ignored anyway. You see what I mean? So they don't have to do anything because they're already doing it. You see? Because they know about the powers of the Kabbalah system, of the 7 chakra system, and all these things. And instead of getting you to your higher celestial hierarchies and your higher realms when you leave this planet, right, and come down to help when you want to, if you want to, like a bodhisattva, right, you end up what they call dying, right, which is basically dealing with a battery. You end up dying, and they say you see the light at the end of the tunnel, so they will tell you to go to the light. And when you go to the light, all of a sudden, what's going to end up happening is and this is in reference to what Bobby Hemmings said about the elder brain, I think. He said, what end up happening, you go through the light, right? After all these things are playing with your emotions, you see what I'm saying? You go through that light and you end up getting your ass spanked by a doctor or a nurse, getting wiped hard as hell by a blanket, waking up, and you start screaming, and you're a baby again. Born with a baby brain, none of the knowledge that you had before you were born in that past life, but only the supposedly now dealing with reincarnation and karma, only the sins that you had, right, in the past life, they carry on over into this life, and you have to deal with the karma of the past life, and you don't even know. That's some messed up shit right there. And see, that's dealing with that zodiac will, the will of samsara. All right? And you just getting recycled in that will and coming back here instead of getting spit out of the well, like Jonah, you see? You're getting spit out, right? Because the energy realizes that you are anti to it, and you are of a celestial order and not of the zodiacal order who calls itself celestial when it's right there above your head in the heavens of the physical universe. Celestial is divine, you see. If anything, the stars that we see are portals to these celestial realms. All right? As the macrocosm, so the microcosm. As above, so below. Right? And so, instead of letting the planets and the signs control us, and it is a very, very, very hard thing to do, it must be the reason why you're born. We all soldiers in this war. Understand what it is, what astrology is. And like when you, because I'm an Aries, I can get hot-headed, you know, I get fierce, you know what I mean? I can lead people into the wrong things, you know, never follow me, you see what I'm saying? I'll let you know that right now. Now, that's me controlling that, you see? Because I can utilize the astrological energy of Aries. It's a cardinal sign as well. Talk a lot, you know what I mean? Very, very non-mutable. So, utilize all that to convince you to follow me and to do all that shit. And then as soon as you disagree with me, you know what I mean? I hit you with that hothead, and I do away with you. You know what I'm saying? And that's all being controlled completely by that higher will, which is called the Zodiac. That's going around your psyche, going around your dome, man. But the connection to your ancestors that are not stuck in this will, right? They are in the celestial hierarchies. You can connect with them. And they can help you get up out of this. And it might not take one lifetime. It might take more than 4 lifetimes. It might take more than 40. I don't know. You see what I mean? I might have lived and done all of this before, and then messed up at the end. You know? But this time I made it to the point to where at least I don't eat red meat. You know, at least I don't eat, you know, certain things and things of that nature. I'm still working on stuff. And if I don't get it right this time, I might end up having to come and do this shit all over again. Right? So just imagine that. You know what I mean? That's what Tupac said. His worst fear is coming back having to do this shit over again. You know what I mean? That's what Tupac said. Reincarnation. That's he said that's one of his worst fears. You know, you don't want to incarnate because you are a prisoner. You want to come and assist and help. And that's the whole thing with the Christ energy. You see what I mean? You know, the whole coming of the Christ. And each soul has that within them, the Christ consciousness energy that's coming back. See, that is the aeon of that is the seed of the aeon. Because this aeon is not only a representation of the current age of the Zodiac. It represents all the ages combined, you see? And therefore, the aeon represents an eternal aspect of experiences lived by souls and spirits in their own celestial reality that is pure as can be, you see, that we can affiliate ourselves with in the flesh and visit and commute to, more than likely commute to after we leave this physical body. Okay? So my point is this. The Zodiac will, as you know, because you study astrology and stuff, is the controller. Yahweh is the God of that will, right? He is the pole of the tent. The tent is the dome that resides over the earth or over your psyche. And the dome has imprinted on it the 12 zodiacal signs that go in their processional motion, motion around the dome of the earth. It is its roof. Okay? And we are to shatter the dome. Okay? We are to shatter the dome. We are to escape out of the maze. We are to leave the zoo. It is like It's like the Planet of the Apes. You in the zoo, and you wake up to realize that you're more than this ape. You're more than this animal in this cage, which is the soul and the body. And then you want to wake all of your compadres up, and get us together so we can go home. You see, so we can transmutate this suffering into glory. But what they do with the obelisk and the Kabbalah mysticism and the chakra energy that they open up for you if you don't open up yourself is they control it. They knock on the door, you let them in, and they control you from within. And that's how the world is controlled. It's not controlled by mechanisms on the outside necessarily. Okay? With the exception of subliminal messages and things. It's controlled by the workings of these elite people who are aware of the energies of the planets and the Zodiac and the human beings' connection to it, and how they can control us on a regular basis. Alright? So, with that being said, it's time for me to roll out. I hope y'all enjoyed the little talk here. We're dealing with high levels of knowledge and understanding. This is Rhythm Phoenix. On that note, I'm going to say peace. Ashe.